the district profile of the Covina Valley Unified School District. My name is Luke Galan, and I'll be running this breakdown. Disclaimer, I do have a sore throat at the moment, so you'll have to excuse me if I cut out or if I lean off the mic in order to cough it out. Let's start off with, what is Covina Valley Unified School District? Well, as you can see here, I took this splash page from the dashboard, the California dashboard. And you can see some blue bars, some green bars, an orange, and a yellow bar. So what we have here is a district that has high graduation rate, high English language arts, college career readiness, and a low suspension rate. But also a district that has chronic absenteeism and low or middling scores in mathematics. So if we break it down specifically, we have a district that is almost 12,000 students large. It's currently at April 2020, sitting at 11,660 students, which is much above the state average. The average district in California has around 6,700 students in it. So this is almost double that. We have a nearly 100% college and career readiness rating. In other words, nearly 100% of your run-of-the-mill students will walk out going straight into a college or straight into a career, and a near 100% graduation rate across the four high schools in the district. We also have a relatively strong English language arts program that consistently performs above average, and some other things that are not listed on the dashboard but are listed on the district profile, on the district website, excuse me, are the district is Covina Valley is focused on running certificate programs for students and keeping a low suspension rate through the use of strong disciplinary action. The certificate programs, if you don't know what that is, that means that students who graduate might also graduate with their high school diploma as well as a certificate in a specific field, such as coding, programming, or drone flight technology, or mechanics, and all kinds of different ones. I think one of the schools offers 13 different certificates available to students upon graduation. So this is what Covina Valley looks like in a nutshell. Now let's break it down in terms of demographics. As you can see here, overwhelmingly, 78% of the district is Hispanic and Latino, with around 7% being white, 7% being Asian, 3% African American, and 5% other. So the majority of students in this district are Hispanic and Latino, the overwhelming majority. And every other ethnic group essentially is just a minority group in this district. Now if we look even further into this, we'll see that 66% of students in the district are socioeconomically disadvantaged. And of those, it's reported on their district website that above half their students at the district receive free or reduced lunch. And 14% of the students in the district are enrolled in special education programs. So when you combine all these facts, what you have is you have a district that is mostly Hispanic Latino and that is socioeconomically disadvantaged, and you have a district that is not very rich. This isn't an upper class district in an upper class city. Covina is very much a run-of-the-mill town with average numbers in terms of economic breakdown and a lot of socioeconomically disadvantaged homes. Moving on. What financial trends are present in the district? Well, here are the recent financial conclusions we can draw based on what the district reports on their district website. Overall, the district has seen enrollment drop from around 13,000 5 years ago to an average of about 11,500 a year. The decreasing enrollment has also meant that there has been significant budget cuts. The average yearly budget, as reported on their website, is around $7 million, but they've had $5 million in budget cuts over the past several years. So they're down to floating around a $3 or $4 million budget currently. And as of the rollout of the quarantine and COVID-19, their budget has fallen by about $2 million since early February. This, over the past 2 years, has resulted in the closing of one elementary school. Now, the elementary schools are feeder schools into their middle and high schools, but so they chose the elementary school that had the least amount of transfer rate from that school into other Covina Valley schools. And the one that transferred the least got shut down. Teachers were relocated, staff was relocated, and students were relocated to other elementary schools in order to keep the feeder program strong and in order to eliminate extraneous cost. They've also had to reduce the availability of programs and the variety of programs that they offer. And this has meant the reduction of things like ASB programs and private clubs and stuff like that on campus, as well as sports. They've all had to turn essentially to private funding through local businesses, which are more than plentiful in the area. And one last financial trend that we see is that they have repeatedly signed up for Measure CC funding through local voting, and have they have actually secured Measure CC funding 2.5 years ago, and used it for its purpose. Measure CC funding is specifically allocated for upgrades of facilities and beautification projects. So we'll talk about that in a little while. LCAP and priorities. What objectives and priorities does Covina Valley hold? Well, this can be broken down into two parts, before COVID-19 and during COVID-19. So we will discuss both parts, as they are an important breakdown, and they also give a kind of a clue as to the spirit of what's going on in this district. Now, Covina Valley Unified reports 4 distinguished schools and 7 gold ribbon schools across its district. And their push is to have more and more distinguished and gold ribbon schools moving forward. So higher rigor, higher demand for students. All of that is their top priority. Underneath that and supporting that is the rollout of Common Core and its implementation at the higher grade levels, including the induction of new textbooks and new supportive material, which, if you're in the field, you know that it's a challenge to find a good textbook in Common Core right now. But that's their rollout process in the meantime. And increasing school spirit and morale has been seen as a method of combating their chronic absenteeism, which we looked at when we saw the dashboard of the California dashboard. They've also seek to expand the course roster to meet more relative and relevant needs of the schools, the colleges, as well as careers that students are looking toward, and that has led them to include certificate programs, which we discussed earlier. This is also coupled with a low suspension rate, and their idea is to keep it low as long as possible by use of disciplinary activity that involves transference through schools. And it's more than just detention. The way they describe it on their website is as disciplinary activity is the focus is to rehabilitate a kid. So what that means is left a little vague on their website. Now, during COVID-19, their priorities have shifted quite a bit, and they listed these in different wording, of course, on their website, more specific. Covina Valley is focused on developing online learning. Now, from what I gather, their online learning is not just for this current semester, but also for the next school year, looking toward the fall and the potential for a secondary closure or future closures. They want to continue to develop online learning to the point where it is parallel to physical learning in the classroom. Covina Valley is also providing free Wi-Fi for all school devices across the city of Covina. Now, they've done this by partnering with several internet service providers, and several companies, local companies, have added funds in order to promote this. But any student in the entire city as long as they're a student of the Covina Valley Unified School District and have a Covina Valley device, a laptop, a tablet, whatever it might be, they have access to free Wi-Fi from wherever they are, whether that be their mobile homes or their apartment or their house, whatever it might be. Covina Valley is also providing free meals for all needy families, no questions asked. Now, the way we've seen this done in visiting one of the schools early on in the quarantine was if a van of 7 people roll in, and one of the students goes to one of the kids goes to a Covina Valley school, they don't even ask for identification. They will just ask how many meals you want. They can have up to 3 meals per person per day. So they will give them 21 meals, load them in their van, and send them on their way. This is due to the fact that Covina Valley has such a large socioeconomically disadvantaged population, and the quarantine has hit that population quite hard in terms of finances and providing for their families. So that's kind of what they've been up to lately, but to put it more into perspective, Covina Valley has recently secured their Measure CC beautification project funding, and each school was allotted some money, and the school got to decide how to best use their funding. So some schools added facilities like pools, a new gym, a new basketball court. Other schools renovated old buildings, so they upgraded classrooms, modernized classrooms. Other schools added showstopper pieces for people coming to audit, parents coming to audit to see what school they want their child to go to. So all of it has been seen in the name of increasing enrollment and increasing school morale and school spirit. And we see some pictures here. Some of the schools remodeled their quads with, decorated ships and decorated quad pieces with lighting. Others remodeled their classrooms, got new desks, got new whiteboards, and we also see a lot of laptops there, and that's because one-to-one technology is also really critical to this district. They are committed to giving each student a laptop or a device that they can work from at home. And so that's across the entire district for all schools. COVID-19 relief has also played a pivotal role lately, as they have delegated a lot of funding and a lot of manpower to making sure that families are fed, internet connections are up, that student devices are working, that students have the resources that they need, all of it. And with that, continued development and certificate programs has continued to roll out. There's now drone programs offered at several of the high schools. There's coding programs and robotics programs with certificates that you can get when you graduate if you receive a certain letter grade, like a B or an A in a specific class or set of classes. So let's talk about some strengths of the district. Well, the main strength is that it's a high graduation rate. If your child attends Covina Valley, they will assuredly graduate high school. And not just that, but they will probably graduate and go on to either the college that they want to get to or the career that they want to get to. But they will not graduate and go off to do nothing. And that is a huge strength of the district, that they are willing to put students through rigorous tasks and willing as a staff to push themselves and push their kids to getting their high school diploma and into a college or career of their choice. The streamlined priorities definitely help with that. That means that there's not a lot of extraneous programs that staff have to go through. Their teachers aren't complaining of tons and tons of sidelined projects that they have to adopt for a while and then drop on a dime. And they have a strong ELA program, which is a huge strength in the district. Because the district is so much Latino Hispanic, the strength of the ELA program cannot be understated here, as many of those families come from other countries, but their children speak perfect English and walk out with grades on par or above the state average in English language arts, which is a feat all unto itself. Some challenges on the district are the continued chronic absenteeism is a huge challenge. How do we tackle this? We'll look at in a little bit. Mathematics scoring is also really middling. Even though their ELA program is strong, their mathematics program is quite lacking. And of course, they have continued and growing fiscal concerns as budgets shrink, enrollment goes down, and the needs of students and the needs of schools go up year to year. So what are some recommendations that I might give this district? Well, for starters, to attack the absenteeism problem, we might consider meaningful attendance incentives. In other words, don't just punish people for being absent, but reward those who are there and reward them through high school. Because sometimes elementary might have rewards for attendance, but we stop that usually at a high school level. But maybe it's time to return to this in this district and give homework passes or a free snack from the snack bar or whatever it might be. Some incentive that brings students into the fold and brings them in. Now I understand that their way of tackling this problem currently is to increase morale and increase the school spirit at each school. And in doing so, make kids want to come back to school due to their school spirit. And that's a clever way of looking at it, but I really do feel that meaningful attendance incentives could be followed with school spirit, and it would greatly help them. Another recommendation would be assessment tools for math instructors. Now this might be seen as criticizing math teachers, but not quite. Math instructors might not be given the tools they need or the programs they need to correctly implement Common Core mathematics. Or they are, and they're not assessing which parts they need help with or which parts they need to move on or which parts they're doing right or wrong. So some tools to help them assess their instruction, some tools to help them assess the quality of the instruction, the quality of the objects, of the homework assignments, of the assessments given. That might be useful for the instructors to do in terms of reflection, in order to see what they're doing right and what they could use some refinement in. And of course, business partnerships, private funding, and continued certificate course development will be a great way to continue to mitigate the growing fiscal concerns. A lot of businesses have partnered with Covina Valley. There are many pizza places, many taco places, many food industry places that local places that work together with the baseball teams, the volleyball teams, and a list of them is on the district website. Now what's interesting is that they provide funding for those sports. They help with that. So I think continue moving down that road in partnering with corporations, small businesses that are education friendly and provide some kind of funding is a great way to kind of mitigate the decreasing budgets for individual classes and individual subject areas, and even for clubs and for other activities in schools. So that plus continued growing certificate course curriculum is another great incentive to growing enrollment in the district, and thus growing their funds, their budget once again. So overall, it seems the district is very concerned with what is happening in their community, and they're working toward what is happening in their community and helping out their community. But sometimes our reach exceeds our grasp, and we need some help visualizing how far we should actually be reaching. I hope this has helped put Covina Valley into kind of a clear understanding of where they stand and what they're up to. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment or email. Thank you so much for watching.